Prices start at $9,000 for stainless steel and up to $25,000 for solid rose gold. Visit Bloomberg.
5 is in. What a run! Touchdown, Kansas City!
Congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs on winning their first Super Bowl in 50 years and second in franchise history.
50, Watkins, 10, chase to the 5, into the end zone, touchdown! That may be all she wrote!
While the NFL's 100th season may be over, football never stops on TuneIn. Search NFL Podcast to stay current with all the off-season wheeling and dealing. And get ready for the 2020 NFL Draft in April.
World 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, on the Bloomberg Business app, and on Quick Take by Bloomberg. This is Bloomberg Radio. Markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app, and on Quick Take by Bloomberg. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
From Bloomberg World Headquarters, I'm Charlie Pelleton. Up Monday here with the Dow, the S&P, and NASDAQ all moving higher. We did finish well off our session highs, though. Stocks rebounding from the worst week in 6 months as investors speculated efforts to contain the coronavirus will minimize lasting damage to the global economy. At the close, S&P up by 23 points, higher by 0.7%. The Dow advanced 141 points today. That was a gain of 0.5%. NASDAQ Composite Index up 122 points for NASDAQ, a gain today of just about 1.3%. Sean Cruz is manager of trader strategy at TD Ameritrade right here on Bloomberg Business Week. He talked about what was happening during Friday's session when we saw the Dow drop 603 points.
I think there was just a lot that could potentially come out over the weekend where there was just really no one wanting to step up and take risk. And that's why you just saw this gradual grind lower throughout the session on Friday. But that money looks like it's going back to work today.
So again, the Dow up 142 points, up 0.5. S&P today up 0.7%. NASDAQ up 1.3%. S&P advanced as China added stimulus in an effort to shore up its economy. Also, American manufacturing data did top estimates. We are awaiting the latest numbers out of Alphabet, parent of Google. We'll have those for you as they become available. Alphabet shares did advance today by 3.6%. Tesla shares rallied for a fifth day today as a torrent of good news further boosted investor sentiment. Tesla shares rallied almost 20% today, surging $129. Tesla is now at $780. Year-to-date, Tesla is also a stock that has risen by 86.46%. As we've been reporting, Princeton University has ordered 108 recent student visitors to China to isolate themselves, most on its suburban New Jersey campus, as a precaution amid the coronavirus outbreak. Again, recapping stocks higher, 10-year down 3/32, yield 1.51%. Gold today down by 0.8%. I'm Charlie Pelleton. That's a Bloomberg Business Flash.
Move around. Motion creates the motion.
I feel the earth move under my feet.
You move like they do. I've never seen anyone move that fast.
All right, people, let's move like we've got a purpose.
Something's called movers and shakers. They cost a little more, but that name cracked me up.
Bloomberg Business Week, Movers and Shakers, with Carol Messer and Jason Kelly on Bloomberg Radio.
It is time to take a look at some of the movers and shakers. And as we do this, we do have Google earnings, Google parent, I should say, Alphabet, crossing the Bloomberg terminal. Let's go through it. Fourth quarter EPS, earnings per share, $15.35 a share. That is a big beat. The forecast was for $12.50 a share. So we're talking about $2.75 better than what Wall Street was forecasting.
Good grief.
Fourth quarter operating income, this was a little bit light, $9.27 billion versus $9.79 billion, the estimate. Fourth quarter operating margin, this is always key, 20%. The estimate, though, that was floating out there was for 24.7%. So in terms of the stock in the after hours,
it is falling. It is falling largely, I'm guessing, based on those numbers that you just read out, down almost 4% here in the after hours, holding those losses and accelerating just a little bit. We'll break it down with our team going forward, but those are the major headlines coming out of Google. parent Alphabet. Dan Morgan's going to be along in just a bit to talk about that.
Okay, and I don't have comparisons yet, but fourth quarter revenue, $46 billion. Like when we look at these companies, right, we just have to be reminded. It also the company reporting cloud and YouTube results for the first time. So this is always key, right? We have these companies and they've got a lot of different businesses under the roof.
This was one of the criticisms of Facebook.
We often get a breakout of some of their bigger businesses, but then we don't about some of those companies that they constantly will talk about on the earnings call, but not break it out. So reporting cloud and YouTube results for the first time. So looking for some of those numbers. They've yet to cross. Let's see.
Fourth
YouTube
quarter revenue ex-TAC, as they say, $37.57 billion. The estimate, that's also light. The estimate had been for 38.4.
Okay, and on our Bloomberg Live blog, our Mark Bergen tech reporter saying, wow, Google breaking out YouTube and cloud revenue for the first time. YouTube making $15.15 billion in 2019. Cloud revenue, here's some perspective, $8.92 billion. So that's a pretty sizable number to say the least.
Yeah, and it's interesting watching the stock bounce around a little bit here in the after hours. It was down as much as 5% and change, now coming back to down about 4%. So obviously there are going to be a lot of questions, a lot of discussion here that Google executives, Alphabet executives are going to have.
Let's just go right there again. YouTube ads generating $15 billion in 2019. And again, Google cloud business generating $8.9 billion in 2019. As you said,
those
that
are
fourth
top
quarter
line, right?
Yep, that's top line. Fourth quarter revenue, as you said, ex-TAC operating profit, they are missing estimates, which explains some of the disappointment that we're seeing when it comes to Google in the after hour. Stock is now down about 4.1%. Last year's stock was up about 29%, and heading into today's earnings release, shares of Alphabet were up more than 11% there. So, these are the kind of expectations that are out there that you've got to kind of hit everything. But I do want to see how the street, as it goes over those YouTube and cloud revenue numbers, how they see it.
Well, and as you say, maybe more like Facebook than Amazon in terms of the numbers that it's hitting. That's obviously one of the best comps. We're going to put all that to Dan Morgan coming up. Let's just take a quick look at some other names. Gilead, I think, was one that you were looking at, just virus-related, candidly, right?
Your number one gainer in the S&P 500, stock up 5%. Drug getting Gilead drug getting human trial, clinical trials, I should say. China really moving that along to test a drug for the novel coronavirus infection. So that, no surprise to see Gilead up about 5%. Netflix also up about 3.7% here, and that has to do with an analyst call on that stock today. And so you see investors moving into that, looking for some upside in that one.
Alphabet shares paring their losses now down only a little less than 2%. So we'll keep an eye on that. Volatility, the VIX, volatility down about 4% today, closing at 18.08. This is Bloomberg.
All right, Dave, you're up.
Hi, my name is Dave.
Wilson, where are you? Wilson!
Just what do you think you're doing, Dave?
We're going for a price on Wilson.
Open up the door, it's Dave.
Who?
Dave.
Hey, Mr. Wilson!
So as we watch Google in the after hours, paring a lot of its losses, still down about 1.8%. Let's get to Dave Wilson and his stock of the day, and the ticker is FLMN, Dave.
Falcon Minerals, Carol. It's in the oil and gas business, though its name might suggest otherwise. The company owns royalty rights in the Eagle Ford Shale region of South Texas and in Marcellus Shale fields spanning Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and Ohio. Falcon Minerals went public in July 2017 as a so-called blank check company called Osprey Energy Acquisition. The name was changed in 2018 after the company bought its current assets from private equity firm Blackstone Group. Falcon's ticker is indeed FLMN, and the company shares have been below their initial public offering price of $10 since October 2018. They set a record low on Friday and another one today. The new low followed a rating cut at Credit Suisse, which led Osprey Energy's IPO. The firm reduced Falcon to the equivalent of hold from buy. Credit Suisse wrote in a note that analysts' estimates of production from the company's fields appear too optimistic for this year and next. And of course, lower production means lower royalty payments. Falcon shares fell below $5 for the first time since the IPO. They got down to $4.75 and closed at $4.95, and the latter price works out to a loss of 10% on the day.
All right, good one, Dave Wilson. Really appreciate it. We're going to check in with you tomorrow, as we do, for your market insights and your chart and stock of the day. Coming up, we're going to get a little bit macro with Hank Smith over at Haverford Trust, talk about some of the things that are moving around in this environment, especially some of those virus impacts. Then we're going to talk to Dan Morgan about these Alphabet numbers. Alphabet shares down about 2% and change here in the after hours. They have been bouncing around a little bit as the market starts to digest, in part getting some numbers it's never gotten before when it comes to the cloud and YouTube.
Our Bloomberg Live blog saying on the cloud side, the business more than doubled since 2017. Wow. So that's some pretty significant growth numbers. All right, let's get back to world and national news headlines and back to Bob Moon. Hi, Bob.
Hi, Carol. Princeton University has ordered 108 recent student visitors to China to isolate themselves, most on its suburban New Jersey campus, as a precaution amid the coronavirus outbreak. A spokesman for the Ivy League school says the students are being evaluated on a one-by-one basis, and most are expected to be classified low risk as early as this evening. He says none of the students have shown symptoms of the potentially deadly virus. There are now 11 confirmed cases in the U.S., one new one in Massachusetts and 4 more in California. 4 of the 5 had travel histories to Wuhan, China. Nobody has died from it in the U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said today arrangements are being made to fly Americans out of China's Hubei province.
The exact timing of those, we're still coordinating with the Chinese government, but we anticipate that they will happen in the next handful of days, and we'll return those American citizens. We may well end up bringing some citizens back from other countries as well.
More than 17,000 coronavirus cases have now been confirmed in China. Influential conservative talk radio host Rush Limbaugh says he has advanced lung cancer. He made the announcement on his radio show today.
I wish I didn't have to tell you this, and I thought about not telling anybody. I thought about trying to do this without anybody knowing, because I don't like making things about me.
Limbaugh told listeners he'll be taking some time off to seek treatment, but plans to stay on the air as much as possible. The 69-year-old right-wing icon has been nationally syndicated for more than 3 decades. He said he's been experiencing shortness of breath that turned out to be a pulmonary malignancy. Global News, 24 hours a day, on air and on Quick Take by Bloomberg. I'm Bob Moon.
You can't be the only one who spends time examining angles.
This sort of mini deal, what would it look like?
Considering possibilities.
From a credit perspective, this is good news.
Planning for eventualities.
This company really has to get back on a growth track.
You're right. The others are here.
General Electric is such an interesting story.
Bloomberg Markets with Lisa Abramowitz and Paul Sweeney. Weekday mornings at 10 Eastern. On Bloomberg Radio, the Bloomberg Business app, and BloombergRadio.com. Bloomberg, the world is listening.
When you went car shopping, you meant business. You aced vehicle history searches and test drives. You out-salesman to the salesman. Now you've got your wheels. If you manage that, you can get your retirement plan on track. Visiting aceyourretirement.org can help. With 401k tips and smart saving strategies, you'll have the info you need to get more for your future. Go to aceyourretirement.org, because when it comes to speeding past financial challenges, you're an ace. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
In-depth analysis, consult reporting, need-to-know global business news. Around the world and across the markets, Bloomberg connects the dots for decision makers. Stay on top of today's headlines. Follow big breakthroughs in tech. Understand the latest political issues. See how the world's wealthiest are spending their money. Track what's happening in the markets, and much more. Subscribe today to Bloomberg, the global standard for business reporting. Get it all at Bloomberg.com/subscriptions.
Hey, it's me, your cell phone. We need to talk about something serious. I know you love me. I know you like using me wherever you are, but I feel like this isn't working out when you're driving. I know you may think that it's possible to focus both on me and the road, but I just don't feel the same way. I think we should spend time away from each other when you're driving. It's for the best.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
The market's in focus.
5 is in! What a run! Touchdown, Kansas City!
Congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs on winning their first Super Bowl in 50 years and second in franchise history.
50, Watkins, 10, chase to the 5, into the end zone, touchdown! That may be all she wrote!
While the NFL's 100th season may be over, football never stops on TuneIn. Search NFL Podcast to stay current with all the off-season wheeling and dealing. And get ready for the 2020 NFL Draft in April.
Right now, instead of hearing this, you could be listening to the music that moving with TuneIn Premium. Find today's biggest songs and all of your favorites commercial-free. Visit TuneIn.com/premium to upgrade.
Go courtside with the NBA on TuneIn. With the NBA on TuneIn, hear your favorite team and players take on their biggest rivals during the biggest games throughout the year, including regular season showdowns, the 2020 All-Star Game, and the NBA Finals in June, featuring the home and away calls for all 30 teams. Plus, with the NBA on demand, relive the best moments of the season by listening to the past games in their entirety. Listen to the NBA all season long on TuneIn.
Hey, NFL fan, can't watch the game? Can't be there? No biggie. With your TuneIn Premium membership, you already have an all-access pass to every team and every game in the league. Amazing, right?
Steps up, floats it towards, at the goal line, it's intercepted!
Listen live as the action unfolds or on demand when you can. Anytime, anywhere, all season long.
Right side, it is caught. It is in for the right side for the touchdown.
Search NFL today.
Hockey fans, the 2019-20 NHL season is here.
And tucks it home!
And with this team, it's really fun to be a part of a team like that.
And you can hear the action live on TuneIn Premium. From regular season action to the All-Star Game and through the Stanley Cup in June. Hear the home and away call for every game, for every team live. At home or on the go, never miss a game with the NHL on TuneIn Premium.
Upgrade today.
Want to hear about the latest and greatest things to listen to on TuneIn? For reminders of the biggest live sports games, debates, and breaking news stories, follow @TuneIn on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to stay connected with the audio that matters to you.
You love TuneIn for live breaking news from CNN, MSNBC, Fox, CNBC, and more. But when you can't catch your favorite show as it airs, it might just be a click away as a podcast. Search your favorite news station to explore all the on-demand news shows on TuneIn.
Are you curious what others are listening to on TuneIn? Head to the trending section under Browse to see the most popular stations and podcasts among TuneIn listeners right now. Check it out. You might just discover something new for yourself.
No, bring your own bucket to the campfire. And be extra careful with things like burning yard trimmings. Don't just walk away, or chances are you might be starting a wildfire. So for the love of the outdoors, go to SmokeyBear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Are you interested in a challenging and exciting career? One where you can be part of solving complex challenges across industries and geographies. Bloomberg's ever-expanding technology, data, news, and media services foster innovation, empower clients, and offer nearly limitless opportunities for career growth. Visit Bloomberg.com/careers today to view our current job opportunities. Bloomberg LP is an equal opportunity employer. The address once again is Bloomberg.com/careers.
Why has J.D. Power ranked Commonwealth Financial Network #1 in independent advisor satisfaction among financial investment firms for the 6th straight time? We think it comes down to one thing: you. Because it's your input and feedback that keeps us focused on what's most important to you and your clients and continually pushes us to be the best we can be. Maybe that's why we receive top marks in every category of the J.D. Power 2019 Advisor Satisfaction Survey. They named us #1 in client support, #1 in firm leadership, #1 in operational support, #1 in compensation, #1 in professional development support, and #1 in technology support. Ready to partner with the best? Call Commonwealth at 866-462-3638 or visit commonwealth.com and feel the power. Member FINRA-SIPC, a registered investment advisor. For 2019 J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.
Markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app, and on Quick Take by Bloomberg. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
From Bloomberg World Headquarters, I'm Charlie Pellet. Alphabet's numbers are out, and the stock is down right now, tumbling after hours, down by 3.1%. Alphabet, parent of Google, reported revenue from the key holiday quarter that missed Wall Street estimates, suggesting the company's Google ad business is struggling to maintain growth in the face of rising competition. Revenue excluding payments to partners, $37.6 billion in the fourth quarter. That was less than analyst projections of $38.4 billion, according to data compiled by Bloomberg. Again, Alphabet shares, they are falling after hours right now, looking at a 3.3% drop in shares of Alphabet. The Dow, the S&P, and NASDAQ all advancing after Friday's sell-off. This Monday, we had the S&P up 23 points, up 0.7%. The Dow, I should point out, is still negative on the year, but it did advance today. The stock up 0.5%, with the Dow up 143 points, 28,399 on the Dow. NASDAQ up 122 points, up by 1.3% in the year-to-date column on the Bloomberg. The S&P is up 0.6%, and NASDAQ is up by 3.3%. 10-year down 430 seconds yield, 1.52%. Gold down 0.8%, 15.76 the ounce, and West Texas Intermediate crude dropping 3%, now at $49.99 a barrel on WTI. Recapping, S&P 500 index up 23, up 0.7%, and we had shares of Alphabet tumbling after ours. Alphabet down now by 3.3%. Ad revenue in the quarter, by the way, rose 17%, slower than the 20% year-over-year growth from the same quarter last year. So again, recapping here, stocks higher, S&P 500 index up 23, up by 0.7%. I'm Charlie Pellet, and that is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
Charlie, thanks a lot. You are listening to Bloomberg Business Week. It's about 4:19 on Wall Street. So let's sort of stop and catch our breath a little bit.
Yeah.
Given everything that's been going on today, Carol, I feel like we came in to the session, to the week, fresh off the Super Bowl. Everybody, who didn't skip work today after going to a Super Bowl party. Those of us who are actually working Super Monday. Fox did a nice ad campaign. I don't know how much you saw of it.
I did.
Any ad that jumped out at you just before we move on to
I thought it was interesting. I thought there were some that were trying to, do messages. I thought that, I can't remember who the beer was, but just talking about organic farming and just by having
Budweiser.
So many. It was
That's
Budweiser.
my favorite beer, Michelob Ultra.
I thought it was just a really great ad, and just saying that if so many people buy this, we can do this many more acres of organic farming. If everybody at the stadium watching the Super Bowl, attending the Super Bowl did it, that they could basically make all farming organic. Right. Like, it was just, I thought it was kind of a message. I don't know. We were talking about in the newsroom how we kind of miss the horses, the Clydesdales. Yeah. Like, it's just, I don't feel like
asked Carlos Brito where the Clydesdales went.
I have to say, I wish Paul Brennan was here, our regular producer.
Oh, for the Tom Brady ad?
The Wicked. No. The Wicked. They were trying to
pack the car.
Pack the car.
Yeah.
Wicked smile. But it was just hysterical, and it was just, that one I thought was really, really well done. I like the Ellen DeGeneres and Portia de Rossi ad about what life was like before Alexa, and they kind of went through the ages of what Alexa was, and I thought that was also pretty clever. But I thought in general, I was waiting, I kept saying, oh, where's the good ad? Wait, where's that ad we're all going to be talking about? Wait, where is it?
Right, exactly.
Like people eating in front of a fridge, or or like Oprah on the couch, or whatever.
Yeah. No, I thought the ads were pretty good.
Do you have a favorite?
I didn't. I really liked I liked the one with the woman from Modern Family with all the different products from P&G sort of going through the house.
Oh, yeah.
It's sort of cute.
Gloria, the character.
Yes. Sofia Vergara, thank you. Charlie Pellet's got a take.
I just did some binge watching on.
Yeah. I just wanted to get Carol Master all riled up. I'm just going to drop the point and let you guys run with it.
Okay.
What was that Olay commercial all about? The Olay commercial, space, women, girls.
Oh, yeah, the Katie Couric. Yeah, the Katie Couric ad.
I have to say, it had Girls Who Code. I have to say, I don't know that it was executed as well as it could have been, right?
Okay, here's my takeaway.
Go ahead.
You got to have good makeup if you're a woman to go into space. Is that the way I interpreted that? Did I miss the point on that?
I'm guessing that's not what they were really saying. But
no, but it just seemed to me that here we were linking women in space, and you got to have clear looking skin. I
agree with you. I have to say, and I love that they were trying to do something and really productive, but it didn't land, right?
It didn't land.
You're right.
I just thought it was kind of. I thought people were going to be talking about that one on a Monday morning, the same way that we had that horrible miss from a couple of years ago with the Nationwide ad.
Yes.
And I thought maybe that was going to be something that people would be discussing today. But
how were you with the Mr. Peanut ad?
Oh my God, Mr. Peanut's
Resurrection.
alive. Wait, but can I just go to, all right, I know I'm going to get a lot of hate mail for this, but while we're talking about it, the halftime show, I feel like whatever happened to the Me Too movement? No offense, J-Lo and Shakira,
wow, that's
really
a hot
well
take.
done. But I'm just saying.
I agree with Carol Master 100%. I will leave it. I enjoyed. All right, I
was
enjoyed
very
the show.
entertained.
I was very entertained, but
come on, we went from Me Too to pole dancing in about 12 months.
She said it, but
and I love you, J-Lo. I want to be J-Lo
came
in my next
from being
life.
at someone's house and said he didn't watch the halftime show, and my wife said, "I think you're the only male on the planet who didn't watch the halftime show, like with bug eyes."
Right. People saying, someone was telling me this great story this morning about she was with her boyfriend and a bunch of guys, and they were all, of course, watching it. And I think it was the boyfriend's father. They're like, "Hey, did you guys tape the Super Bowl halftime show? Like, did you record it? Because I missed it, and I want to make sure I can watch it."
The one other takeaway, and I saw this, I think, in the New York Post, the dude who fell asleep at the Super Bowl, you paid, an average of $8,000 for a ticket. And he fell asleep. They got pictures of this guy sleeping in his seat at the Super Bowl.
I have to say, too, it was a good game. I thought they were very fairly matched, well matched. You got to love, what was it, 3 interceptions, was it, in total? And so, but I got a little bored sometimes.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I was thinking of, going back to our time in Miami last week, was just to bring it back to business, FanDuel, when we interviewed Matt King, the CEO over there, he did say they were going to lose money if the over won, and it came in just under. It came in like 2 or 3 points under, because I think the final over-under was something like 54.5, and it came in at 51.
And the folks in Vegas, I think, are already talking about next year's game and everybody next year's game, and everybody's like talking about the Chiefs already. Yeah, they're like just gonna kind of fly to next year's game.
I mean,
he's 24 years old. Yeah. He's really impressive.
All right, Charles Volmer.
Me too, everyone. I'm just saying, me too.
Our producer,
we haven't solved all the problems.
He's out in Iowa. He just sent me the story about the sleeping guy. So
am I coming in too hot about Me Too? No, right, Charlie?
No,
all right.
Charlie's 100% with you.
I know. This way, just another reason. The millions of reasons we love Charlie Pellet.
All right. Last year for the Super Bowl, we were in Atlanta. We're going to go back down to Atlanta on the phone at least. Check in with Dan Morgan. Talk a little Google. This is Bloomberg.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Stocks posted modest gains and a partial recovery from their worst week in 6 months. Investors remain cautious about the economic fallout from the coronavirus epidemic. The Dow Jones Industrial Average climbed 144. The S&P 500 rose 23. The Nasdaq Composite gained 122. For the first time since July, U.S. manufacturing is growing. The Institute for Supply Management's Manufacturing Index climbed into growth territory last month, beating forecasts. Measures of orders and production led the turnaround. AT&T is ending its sponsorship of the New York Yankees, continuing to back away from Major League Baseball as rival T-Mobile expands its relationship. AT&T previously walked away from naming rights to the San Francisco Giants ballpark. Oil closed sharply lower, barely above $50 a barrel. China's oil demand reportedly has fallen by 20% as the coronavirus squeezes its economy. Larry Kofsky, Bloomberg Radio.
If you love them enough to listen to them practice the same song on tuba,
please be done.
Over and over and over and over and over, then surely you'll check NHTSA.gov/the right seat to make sure they're correctly buckled in the back seat.
Sounds good, honey.
Check today at NHTSA.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
In-depth analysis, concise reporting, need-to-know global business news. Around the world and across the markets, Bloomberg connects the dots for decision makers. Stay on top of today's headlines. Follow big breakthroughs in tech. Understand the latest political issues. See how the world's wealthiest are spending their money. Track what's happening in the markets, and much more. Subscribe today to Bloomberg, the global standard for business reporting. Get it all at Bloomberg.com/subscriptions. What if you could keep the...
Welcome to Cathay Island. We hope you've enjoyed flying Cathay Airways. Oh, and Cathay, congratulations on the Euro Millions win.
In this Tuesday's Euro Millions, there are 20 UK millionaires guaranteed. That's dream come true money. Euro Millions from the National Lottery. Your numbers make amazing happen. Estimated jackpot. Rules and procedures apply. Players must be 16 or over.
5 is in! What a run! Touchdown, Kansas City!
Congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs on winning their first Super Bowl in 50 years and second in franchise history.
50, Watkins, 10, chase to the 5, into the end zone, touchdown! That may be all she wrote!
While the NFL's 100th season may be over, football never stops on TuneIn. Search NFL Podcast to stay current with all the off-season wheeling and dealing. And get ready for the 2020 NFL Draft in April.
Go courtside with the NBA on TuneIn. With the NBA on TuneIn, hear your favorite team and players take on their biggest rivals during the biggest games throughout the year, including regular season showdowns, the 2020 All-Star Game, and the NBA Finals in June, featuring the home and away calls for all 30 teams. Plus, with the NBA on demand, relive the best moments of the season by listening to the past games in their entirety. Listen to the NBA all season long on TuneIn.
Are you curious what others are listening to on TuneIn? Head to the trending section under Browse to see the most popular stations and podcasts among TuneIn listeners right now. Check it out. You might just discover something new for yourself.
Hey, NFL fan, can't watch the game? Can't be there? No biggie. With your TuneIn Premium membership, you already have an all-access pass to every team and every game in the league. Amazing, right?
Steps up, floats it towards at the goal line. It's intercepted.
Listen live as the action unfolds, or on demand when you can. Anytime, anywhere, all season long.
Right side, it is caught. It is in for the right side for the touchdown to Kansas.
Search NFL today.
You love TuneIn for live breaking news from CNN, MSNBC, Fox, CNBC, and more. But when you can't catch your favorite show as it airs, it might just be a click away as a podcast. Search your favorite news station to explore all the on-demand news shows on TuneIn.
Want to hear about the latest and greatest things to listen to on TuneIn? For reminders of the biggest live sports games, debates, and breaking news stories, follow @TuneIn on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to stay connected with the audio that matters to you.
Casting live from the Bloomberg Interactive Broker Studio in New York. Bloomberg 1130 to Washington, D.C. Bloomberg 99.1 to Boston. Bloomberg 106.1 to San Francisco. Bloomberg 960 to the country. Sirius XM Channel 119 and around the globe. The Bloomberg Business app and BloombergRadio.com. This is Bloomberg Business Week.
And coming up, we're going to check in with our buddy Dan Morgan down in the ATL. He's going to bring us the latest and greatest when it comes to Google Alphabet, put it in perspective.
Shares are down 4.7%, so near their lows here. So we'll get into that in just a moment. Let's get back, though, to your top business stories. News after the close. Here is once again Charlie
Thank you very much. Let me set up that Alphabet conversation we'll be having in just a moment. It did report revenue from the key holiday quarter that missed Wall Street estimates, suggesting the company's Google ad business is struggling to maintain growth in the face of rising competition. Shares tumbling now down by 4.6%. We will have more from Dan Morgan, Senior Portfolio Manager at Synovus Trust Force, coming up on Alphabet earnings in just a moment right here on Bloomberg Business Week. Turned out to be an up day and up Monday after Friday's sell-off. S&P up 23 points today, up by 0.7%. Dow Jones Industrial Average up 143 points, up 0.5%. The NASDAQ Composite Index up 122 points, up by 1.3%. 10-year down 4/30 seconds at yield, 1.52%. Gold today down 0.8%, 15.76 the ounce, and West Texas Intermediate crude Crude down 3.1%, $49.98 a barrel, so WTI trading below $50 a barrel. Commodities remaining under pressure, but again, stocks rebounding from the worst week in 6 months, all about coronavirus concerns and whether it will cause lasting damage to the U.S. economy. Scott Wren is Senior Global Equity Strategist at Wells Fargo Investment Institute.
I think when you're down, just a little bit more than 2% off the all-time record high, given the news that's been out there, I think the market's pretty confident that this is going to be in line with other historical types of outbreaks like this. It's going to be relatively short-lived. You see a quarter or two of economic headwinds. I think the market can look beyond that.
Again, after the bell, Google's earnings out, shares lower, down by 4.4%. I'm Charlie Pelleton. That is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
Charlie, thanks a lot. You are listening to Bloomberg Business Week. All right. Well, clearly top of mind here in the aftermarket is Alphabet, parent company of Google. Those shares at their lows in the aftermarket session. Let's get into it. Dan Morgan, Vice President and Senior Portfolio Manager at Synovus Trust Company. They're looking after about $25.1 billion down there in the ATL. That's where he joins us. All right, Dan, great to talk to you.
Hi, Jason. Hi, Carol.
Hi.
So what do you make of this? Investors not so happy, at least at the moment.
Yeah, it's interesting because when you look at these, breakout of the numbers in regards to EPS was a big beat, right? Mm-hmm. Revenue a little bit short, and then you start to kind of drill down in the numbers. Now, for the first time, Jason and Carol, they actually broke out YouTube and Google Cloud. So I had to calculate very quickly, putting those numbers back into, for example, if I look at Google Cloud, that goes into their licensing and other revenue segment. And when I come up with those combining together, I get $7.87 billion, and the estimate was $8.6 billion. So a little bit light there. And then when I look at advertising, just kind of drilling it down, $37.9 billion, that was up 16%, and the consensus was about $38.1 billion, up 17%. So I think what we're seeing, Jason and Carol, is a little bit of an overflow from some of that bad taste that people left with that Facebook report last week. Do you remember advertising revenue was up like 25%, but they're like, well, a couple of quarters ago it was up like 26, 27%, so it's starting to slow down, and then you see it kind of spilling into these numbers with Alphabet in regards to a little bit slower advertising revenue than people were looking for.
All right. So, okay. So how do we, I don't know if you, I'm like all over that because now that they're breaking this down. Sorry about that.
You're so excited.
I am. So Dan, what would you, if you were sitting down with Team Alphabet, what would you ask now that you've got this breakout? What do you want to know?
Well, I think the key, Carol, quite frankly, is GCP, which is their Google Cloud Platform unit, which came in about $2.61 billion. We know they came out and said there was a run rate, right, of about $8 billion a couple quarters ago.
Right.
So what we want to start to see is, well, how is that actually growing, right? We want to start comparing those numbers to last quarter and a year ago, because we want to measure those straight up on what's going on with Microsoft Azure, right? They had about a 64% jump in the last quarter. And then, of course, the big behemoth, the gorilla, right? Amazon AWS, right? 34% growth on the last quarter. So we want to see what's going on with that. And then also this breakout on YouTube is huge, right? So any more color that we can get on those two numbers, just so we can get a feel for how they're growing instead of just getting a number, right? So I think those are the two key things, Carol.
Speaking of other things they broke out, there are other bets from self-driving cars to their biotech units continuing to bleed cash. They lost about $2.03 billion during the quarter, $172 million in revenue. Does that bother you? I mean, this is a huge company. They bring in a lot. I mean, it's still $2 billion that could have done something else.
You're right, Carol. And I mean, that kind of goes with the territory with Alphabet, right? We know that other bets is going to lose money. And, the excitement there, right, is Jason and Carol is Waymo, this driverless vehicle technology, going to really pay off for them, right? And they kind of put these little fast-growing kind of entrepreneurial type of products, and it is exciting, and maybe it eventually can work out for them. But it's not a huge loss number, so I don't know if that's really what we're focusing on. I think it's more about those advertising revenue numbers.
Yeah.
All right. So as you look across your universe of stocks that you track so closely, Dan, where does this fit in terms of the overall message? You made some nice comparisons to Facebook, and hat tip to Carol Masser because she said that before the numbers came out, sort of wondering aloud whether we were going to see some comparisons there. What else do you take away with this that moves you beyond just this name?
Jason, to be honest with you, I think in some way we've been a little bit spoiled, right?
Yeah.
You and I have been around a long time. Carol's been around a little bit, but not quite as long, right?
Right.
But anyway, I'm teasing you. But anyway, we remember when it can get really bad, right? Back in like 2001 and 2002. Yes. So let's be honest, things are really good right now. The online advertising business is extremely buoyant. Facebook up 25%. This is about a 16% growth rate. I mean, you look across the board in technology, things are still very dynamic in the cloud space. AWS up 34%. So I think what we can pull away from this is maybe the street's not quite satisfied because they didn't hit every single metric in terms of estimates. But we have to walk away and say, look, the tech sector, especially the FANG stocks, are pretty darn healthy right now.
And so are we getting a sense, only about 30 seconds left, that, maybe they're a little expensive at this point? Where do you put them in terms of valuation?
Well, it's not too crazy, right? Amazon and Netflix are 60 to 70 times earnings.
Yeah.
You look at Google, Microsoft, Apple, they're all kind of in that 25 to 28 times earnings. Yeah. So it's not crazy. You remember back in 2000, the average multiple in the S&P 500 Information Technology Index was 50 times earnings.
Right. Yeah. Right.
We're not even close to that. So
exactly.
I'm not there, Jason and Carol, right now. I still think that things are still not completely overvalued.
All right. Going to leave it there. Dan Morgan, love you. Dan Morgan, Vice President, Senior Portfolio Manager at Synovus Trust Company, joining us on the phone from Atlanta. It's a busy day for him. They've got about $25.1 billion in assets under management.
All right, let's get back over to Bob Moon. He's got your world and national headlines. Hey, Bob.
Jason, House prosecutors summed up their impeachment case against President Trump today.
Damning, chilling, disturbing, and disgraceful.
That was part of the closing argument from Florida Congresswoman Val Demings. Quite the contrary, says White House counsel Mike Purpura.
The House managers bear the very heavy burden of proof. They did not meet it.
Closing arguments having wrapped up, a final impeachment vote is likely on Wednesday. Tomorrow night, President Trump delivers his State of the Union address. A Democratic presidential campaign that already has cost more than $1 billion and narrowed but not yet clarified the field of Trump challengers arrives at its first big decision day in the Iowa caucuses. With many yet to make up their minds, tens of thousands of Democrats will participate in the premier election year event, and we'll have live coverage from Des Moines starting at 10 Wall Street time tonight with Bloomberg's David Weston right here on Bloomberg Radio. Conservative media icon Rush Limbaugh closed his radio show today with a personal revelation that he's been diagnosed with what he called advanced lung cancer.
I am at the moment experiencing zero symptoms other than I don't want to get too detailed in this. What led to the shortness of breath that I thought might have been asthma.
The 69-year-old former rock and roll disc jockey turned talk radio host said he'll be off the air at times for further medical tests and to determine the course of his treatment. He's been nationally syndicated for more than 3 decades. Global news 24 hours a day, on air and on Quick Take by Bloomberg. Powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Bob Moon.
Business is constantly evolving. Is your financial printer evolving to keep ahead of the curve? At Command Financial, we are redefining financial printing by providing industry-leading expertise, leveraging technology, and honing processes and best practices. Every day, Command helps SEC registrants, as well as members of their working groups, including securities attorneys and investment bankers, prepare, file, and disseminate regulatory and disclosure documents, such as registration statements, M&A documents, and mutual fund prospectuses and reports. Command provides a full range of services to help you effectively complete your deal, meet your disclosure requirements, and achieve your shareholder communications objectives. Visit our website at commandfinancial.com and learn how we're evolving, not only with the times, but also with your business requirements. Command Financial, redefining financial printing.
Imagine Imagine being denied an apartment because of your religion, or your race, or because you have children, or a disability.
It's so wrong. Yes, but who has the power to stop this?
You do. Each of us has the power. The law is on your side. It's illegal for landlords to discriminate because of race, color, religion, sex, national origin, disability, or familial status. If you suspect that you have experienced housing discrimination, file a complaint with HUD immediately so we can investigate it. Fair housing is your right.
Use it.
To learn more, visit HUD.gov/fairhousing. That's HUD.gov/fairhousing. Or call 1-800-669-9777. 1-800-669-9777. A public service message from HUD in partnership with the National Fair Housing Alliance.
Whatever job you're searching for, you can find it on LinkedIn. First jobs, flexible jobs, keep me out the cold jobs, advertising jobs, accounting jobs, HR, PR, even ER jobs, East London jobs, West London jobs, extra hour in bed jobs, startup jobs, late start jobs, get home in the daylight jobs, banking jobs, building jobs, flexible working on a Friday jobs, or even voiceover jobs, which is how I ended up recording this ad. Search millions of jobs on LinkedIn and find one meant for you.
5 is in! What a run! Touchdown, Kansas City!
Congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs on winning their first Super Bowl in 50 years and second in franchise history.
50, Watkins, 10, chase to the 5, into the end zone, touchdown! That may be all she wrote!
While the NFL's 100th season may be over, football never stops on TuneIn. Search NFL Podcast to stay current with all the off-season wheeling and dealing. And get ready for the 2020 NFL Draft in April. Hey, NFL fan, can't watch the game? Can't be there? No biggie. With your TuneIn Premium membership, you already have an all-access pass to every team and every game in the league. Amazing, right?
Steps up, floats it towards, at the goal line, it's intercepted!
Listen live as the action unfolds or on demand when you can. Anytime, anywhere, all season long.
Right side, it is caught. It is in for the right side for the touchdown to Keenan.
Search NFL today.
Go courtside with the NBA on TuneIn. With the NBA on TuneIn, hear your favorite team and players take on their biggest rivals during the biggest games throughout the year, including regular season showdowns, the 2020 All-Star Game, and the NBA Finals in June, featuring the home and away calls for all 30 teams. Plus, with the NBA on demand, relive the best moments of the season by listening to the past games in their entirety. Listen to the NBA all season long on TuneIn.
In case you didn't know, TuneIn lets you listen to the same radio stations you pick up on your home or car radio, except you can hear them from anywhere. If you want to find a station from somewhere else in the world, navigate to the By Location section under Browse. Keep exploring with TuneIn.
You love TuneIn for live breaking news from CNN, MSNBC, Fox, CNBC, and more. But when you can't catch your favorite show as it airs, it might just be a click away as a podcast. Search your favorite news station to explore all the on-demand news shows on TuneIn.
The puck drops. 12 players face off to win. The suspense is pure torture, but you wouldn't miss this for the world. TuneIn brings you every minute of the NHL season. Listen live to hockey when it matters most on TuneIn.
This is not a commercial. This is a reminder. With TuneIn Premium, you could be listening to more music commercial-free. Get over 45 commercial-free music stations. Visit TuneIn.com/premium to upgrade.
When you're not listening to your team, take it to the end zone, the rim, or the net. Keep up with the biggest moments in sports by following TuneIn on social media.
Block, Cook into the end zone for the touchdown.
From reminders of the live top games to tips of the best sports stations and podcasts.
Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from Los Angeles. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless.
Follow at TuneIn on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to get the most out of TuneIn.
Voiced by native speakers. And because Babbel is crafted by language experts and uses the spaced repetition method, in just 10 to 15 minutes a day, you'll be speaking the language of your choice with real confidence. With Babbel, you can speak a language. Just text EXPLORE to 64,000 and start your first lesson in the language of your choice for free. Download the Babbel app or text EXPLORE to 64,000 and try it for free. Text EXPLORE to 64,000.
Why has J.D. Power ranked Commonwealth Financial Network #1 in independent advisor satisfaction among financial investment firms for the 6th straight time? We think it comes down to one thing: you. Because it's your input and feedback that keeps us focused on what's most important to you and your clients and continually pushes us to be the best we can be. Maybe that's why we receive top marks in every category of the J.D. Power 2019 Advisor Satisfaction Survey. They named us #1 in client support, #1 in firm leadership, #1 in operational support, #1 in compensation, #1 in professional development support, and #1 in technology support. Ready to partner with the best? Call Commonwealth at 866-462-3638 or visit commonwealth.com and feel the power. Member FINRA SIPC, a registered investment advisor. For 2019 J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.
Markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app, and on Quick Take by Bloomberg. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
From Bloomberg World Headquarters, I'm Charlie Pellet, Alphabet parent of Google, slumping after hours. It reported earnings today, and revenue from the key holiday quarter missed Wall Street estimates, suggesting the company's Google advertising business is struggling to maintain growth in the face of rising competition. Right now, we have got shares of Google, Alphabet. It is lower by 3.8%. Also after the bell, Hartford Financial boosting its quarterly dividend to 32.5 cents a share from 30 cents. The Dow, the S&P, and NASDAQ all advancing today, rebounding from the worst week in 6 months as investors speculated efforts to contain the coronavirus will minimize lasting damage to the U.S. economy. S&P up 23 points, up by 0.7%. The Dow, which remains negative on the year, up 143 points, up 0.5%. NASDAQ up 122 points, up by 1.3%. Tenured on 5/30 seconds at yield 1.52%. Keeping an eye on crude oil, $49.86 a barrel. The slump continues. West Texas Intermediate down 3.3%, and gold is down 0.8%, $15.76 the ounce. So again, recapping here: stocks higher, Google lower, S&P 500 index up 23, up by 0.7%. I'm Charlie Pellet, and that is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
All right, Charlie, thank you so much. You're listening to Bloomberg Business Week. Carol Master along with Jason Kelly on this Monday, and this is Bloomberg Radio.
All right, we've been having a really good time leading into this with Stephen Kolb talking about the halftime show yesterday.
I promise I won't bring it up again.
That was an extravaganza. Fashion, it was certainly part of it. Stephen, of course, is the president of the Council of Fashion Designers of America. He's here in our Bloomberg Interactive Brokers studio. So let's talk about New York Fashion Week. It's such a big deal every year. What are you most looking forward to here?
Yeah, well, Fashion Week is a biannual event, market event, that is kicked off in New York and then goes to London, Milan, and Paris, the four fashion global capitals. And it's an opportunity for American fashion, the designers, retailers, to really show the creativity, the talent, and what's unique about American fashion. And what's unique about American fashion is we're the youngest of those four cities. So I think there's more daring, more innovation. It's entrepreneurial, where in Paris, it's really hard to get into Paris Fashion Week to show, but in New York, there's opportunity. So you see a lot of young, emerging talent as well.
What's interesting, Steve, we just came from the Super Bowl. I'm not going to talk about the halftime show. I promise. But we talked about a changing of the guard when it comes to kind of older quarterbacks who've been playing for a long time, and maybe we're getting into a new crop. We're seeing kind of transitions. And I do wonder, I think I was reading somewhere, too, that in terms of who's going to be showing at Fashion Week, it's not going to be folks like Ralph Lauren and Tommy Hilfiger, that you've got kind of a changing of the old guard as well in terms of who will be showing on runways.
Yeah, New York, what's interesting about designers is that they're not stuck to a certain formula. So with Tommy, he's actually doing something pretty cool. He's been on this global, worldwide tour. He is doing what is known as See Now, Buy Now, where typically fashion shows were showing clothes 6 months down the road available in stores. He's showing clothes in stores now. So last season he was New York. The season before that he was Milan, Shanghai, Paris, now London. Ralph is doing similar and likely doing similar, see now by now, outside of New York Fashion Week. But you do have a young guard. You have an amazing young duo from Brooklyn called Ekes Lata. Super cool. They were actually part of the Whitney exhibit on fashion. And so it's what you
Brandon Maxwell, like the types of...
well, Brandon is a winner of the CFDA Vogue Fashion one last year.
He's pretty incredible.
And a lot of people probably know him as a judge at Project Runway. He's pretty funny and witty. But
every Friday night, it's my pizza and my Project Runway.
All right, well, I'm going to be a guest judge again this season, so look for me.
Are you coming in?
But Brandon is Hollywood. You know, he takes the old glamour of Hollywood, but does it in a very young way. A lot of people know Brandon for being Lady Gaga's stylist, but he's an amazing young brand. Also, you see brands 3 to 5 years just on the schedule of New York Fashion Week. One that I'm super impressed with is Gabriella Hearst. And what she's doing is luxury at a sustainable approach. Her whole fashion show last season was offset. The carbon footprint was offset. So sustainability, like a lot of industries, is a really important focus for us, and she's leading the way there.
All right, so let's talk about that. We have been pretty obsessed with that topic when it comes to fashion. The role of fast fashion, candidly, from a negative sense, in terms of really this churn that we have in all of our closets and the impact that it's had on the environment and our behavior as consumers. How does that manifest itself in Fashion Week?
Well, like I mentioned, Gabriella Hearst is a designer whose collection is the sustainable collection. And now she's taking that philosophy and bringing it to the execution of her event as well. But the topic for us at CFDA has been something we've been focused on for over a decade. We have at our website, CFDA.com, the most comprehensive open access resource hub on sustainability. It's Material Index, where you can go and find materials that are sustainable. And that's really where it starts. And so the conversation has really been on the supply chain and production side, but now it's shifting into packaging. In New York, and we're the only city, the other cities still send hard printed invitations. We're all email. So things are getting more electronic, more digital. And what I also see are the students who are graduating who are young. Like we had a kid in a program who was a master's student, and he did a whole collection made out of sod. Now, okay, you're not going to wear a sod shirt.
Lady Gaga might wear a sod shirt.
You know, but these kids are trying things. They're being innovative, and they're really looking at it very serious.
I do wonder if there's at all, and Stephen, Jason's right, like we do talk about the impact. We have teenagers who are looking at, my daughter is into a company called Reformation, and they seem to think about water and the impact and so on and so forth. Yeah, it's an amazing brand. But I do wonder if we're rethinking that we don't need to have so much, you know, in terms of merchandise and clothes. We don't need a packed, you know, closet. Like, I grew up with a mom who was very much buy a great handbag, buy a great bag, like quality trumped everything else.
And I think the reason fast fashion became so popular was just the cost of it. So you look at luxury fashion, you buy something that's super expensive, you hold on to it. But I think you can look at two businesses that resonate to me, Rent the Runway and The Real Real. So I think consumers are looking at, okay, I don't need to own that bag, but I can rent it from Rent the Runway. And also the secondhand market is a really growing trend and an opportunity for somebody to make some money and resell things, but also to get things and keep it within a system.
I love The Real Real. I just think it's so
I don't use
cool.
it.
Oh, you
do
would love
it. But I do like the second, and I do think the idea of vintage has become a whole other world. Like, you know what I mean? It's not only stuff that's been around 40, 50 years ago, but you're right, it can be a past season or 2 seasons ago, and it's an item that's like brand new.
And the fast fashion stores that we know, say like a Zara, we know the story of Forever 21 today. H&M's closed a bunch of stores. We've worked very closely with the H&M Foundation. They do a lot of funding into the development of materials. We did a great project with Zara last year where we have a program called the CFDA Vogue Fashion Fund, and we had 10 designers competing in a design challenge, and they had to go shop for a vintage piece, and bring it back. And then they were able to pick any of Zara's sustainable fabrics and create a one-of-a-kind piece. So we see that shift happening as well at the fast fashion.
And I love the retailers that are saying, drop your jeans off or drop your clothes off. You get a percentage off, and we're going to recycle that stuff. I really think that's a smart move. See, I told you I wasn't going to bring up the half percent.
You only sort of mentioned you weren't going to bring it up like 6 times.
I just wanted to see if I could get him to sweat a little bit.
No, I'm good.
All right. Stephen Cole, President of the Council of Fashion Designers of America. This
kicks off on February 7th. Right. I love Project Runway. I grew up sewing. My mom used to sew.
All right. Well, you're going to have to check him out.
Right.
Do we have a date for when you're going to be on yet?
Oh, I'm filming Monday, but it's weeks after that.
Good stuff.
5 is in. What a run! Touchdown, Kansas City.
Congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs on winning their first Super Bowl in 50 years and second in franchise history.
50, Watkins, 10, chase to the 5, into the end zone, touchdown! That may be all she wrote!
While the NFL's 100th season may be over, football never stops on TuneIn. Search NFL Podcast to stay current with all the off-season wheeling and dealing. And get ready for the 2020 NFL Draft in April.
Ah, finally another commercial, said no one ever. Visit TuneIn.com/premium to upgrade now and get over 45 commercial-free music stations.
A lot of people aren't aware that TuneIn lets you listen to the same terrestrial stations that you pick up on your FM AM dial, except you can hear them from anywhere. To see all the stations broadcasting in your area, find the local radio section on the home screen. Keep it local with TuneIn.
You love TuneIn for live breaking news from CNN, MSNBC, Fox, CNBC, and more. But when you can't catch your favorite show as it airs, it might just be a click away as a podcast. Search your favorite news station to explore all the on-demand news shows on TuneIn.
Hey, NFL fan, can't watch the game? Can't be there? No biggie. With your TuneIn Premium membership, you already have an all-access pass to every team and every game in the league. Amazing, right?
Steps up, floats it towards at the goal line. It's intercepted.
Listen live as the action unfolds, or on demand when you can. Anytime, anywhere, all season long.
Right side, it is caught. It is in for the right side for the touchdown.
Search NFL today.
Financial capital of the world, 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, on the Bloomberg Business app, and on Quick Take by Bloomberg. This is Bloomberg Radio.
From Bloomberg World Headquarters, I'm Charlie Pelletin. The Dow, the S&P, and NASDAQ all advanced today. S&P 500 index up 23, up 0.7. The Dow up 143, up 0.5. NASDAQ up 122, up 1.3%. Stocks rebounded from the worst week in 6 months as investors speculated that efforts to contain the coronavirus will minimize lasting damage to the U.S. economy. Now, after the bell, we did hear from Alphabet, parent of Google. Shares now lower by 4.7%. It did report revenue from the key holiday quarter that missed Wall Street estimates, suggesting the company's Google ad business is struggling to maintain growth in the face of rising competition. Dan Morgan is with Synovus Trust, and right here on Bloomberg Business Week, he talked about the quarter as well as the so-called other bets part of the earnings report.
We know that other bets is going to lose money, and the excitement there, right, is Waymo, this driverless vehicle technology going to really pay off for them, right? And they kind of put these little fast-growing kind of entrepreneurial type of products, and it is exciting, and maybe it eventually can work out for them, but it's not a huge loss number, so I don't know if that's really what we're focusing on. I think it's more about those advertising revenue numbers.
And there it is, advertising revenue with shares now lower by 4.8% on Alphabet. The 10-year down 6/32 at yield 1.52%. Gold little changed, up 4 cents now, 15.76 the ounce. Crude oil, West Texas Intermediate down 3.2%, 49.91 a barrel. A group including two of Forever 21's biggest landlords has offered to buy the bankrupt retailer for $81 million, a fraction of what the international fashion pioneer was once worth. And J.P. Morgan Chase has filed to start its first actively managed exchange-traded fund with partially concealed holdings. The bank's asset management arm disclosed the plan in a regulatory filing that was submitted today. Recapping, stocks higher, S&P up 23, up 0.7 again after the bell. 5% drop right now for Alphabet. I'm Charlie Pelletin. That is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
This is Bloomberg Business Week with Carol Masser and Jason Kelly on Bloomberg Radio.
All right, and you are listening to Bloomberg Business Week here on Bloomberg Radio, also streaming live on YouTube. And it's a busy day, and it's only going to get busier as we move a little bit west to Iowa. So it's finally happening.
I know. It's off and running.
We're going to get our first real look at what people actually think about these Democratic candidates.
And the Iowa caucus is really interesting in terms of how it might play out, because it's not only about being the front runner, but taking over from maybe, the second or third person that could determine a winner. Why are you laughing at me?
I'm laughing because it's also a little bit of a funky process, and Paul Krugman, when he was with us earlier, called it an artisanal primary.
Which was perfect. Let's get into it all with Ryan Teague Beckwith. He's our political reporter at Bloomberg News. He's on the phone from Iowa. So first of all,
I feel like he would appreciate that. Do you like that little turn of phrase? An artisanal primary?
It's bespoke.
So, all right, set the scene. Tell us about the folks you've been talking to. What's going on in Iowa right now?
Well, I would like to say at this time that I'm finally ready to make my prediction about who will win the Super Bowl.
And?
Whoever won yesterday.
In other words, no.
Everyone's question that they want to know is who's going to win tonight. And I think that what we can see from the polls and information we have so far is that Bernie Sanders is going to have a good night. What we don't know is who else is going to have a good night and how exactly that will play out. That second and third slot will really matter a lot.
And that's what's interesting about this race, right? I mean, in terms of there's a lot of people maybe who are undecided or who might move from the second or third person who's, in terms of the runnings, and you just don't quite know maybe how it'll play out.
I think in this particular election, it's more going to be who it knocks out of contention.
Yeah.
In the past, the reason why Iowa would be so decisive is if you didn't do well here, the money started to dry up. And if you're running the kind of campaign that depended on bundlers and big checks rolling in, it was hard to convince somebody to max out, with a couple $1,000s when you couldn't even produce the votes. So those people tended to see the writing on the wall and drop out. What we saw on the Republican side in 2016 was that if you have a super PAC, as long as you have the support of that one big donor who's funding that, then you can stay in as long as you can convince them to keep giving you money. And in this time around, if you have the small donors like Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren do, it may not be deadly not to hear. In fact, some of those Bernie Sanders supporters might send you another $5 if you didn't do as well as expected.
And so from here, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, from here,